Welcome everyone to the 5,376th meeting of the Rotary Club of San Jose. I'm thrilled on this chilly February day that you all seem to be in boisterous spirits and talkative. That's good. Hopefully you'll have lots of good questions for our speaker today. I'd like to thank our reading line was the program committee led by Charlie McCollum. Thank you guys for keeping me from having to fill 25 extra minutes every week. So thank you for greeting us. And at this time, I would, well, before we get to guests and whatnot, some of you have come to me and said, hey, it's first of the month, where's the beer? We're pausing the beer for the time being because we're trying to make sure that all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed with the city of San Jose. They've had conversation with us, so but it'll be back. We're just figuring it out. So let's have our red badgers with the traveling microphones stand up and introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Catherine Lindo, and my sponsor is Sar Junior. He is here this week. And yeah, I'll be traveling with the mic today. Nice to see you again, everybody.
Good to see you, Catherine. And next.
Hello, President Sal and everybody. I'm Emily Robin. My sponsors are Steve Borkenhagen and Mike Conniff.
Fantastic, welcome. Okay, you guys should know the drill. Any visiting Rotarians or Rotarians with guests, please stand so we can get you introduced. Mr. Adams, the younger.
Mr. Pizarro, President Pizarro. I like the alliteration there. Nice to see you. Nicholas Adams, Classification Public Relations. Hello, fellow Rotarians. I have, bear with me, 3 amazing guests today. I'd like to start with the fairly new executive director of an amazing nonprofit organization in the region called Project Event. Project Event is doing awesome work in the community. Please welcome Jax Chaudhry. I'll continue to her right, Sandra Larson, who is Silicon Valley Magazine's fairly new advertising and sales rep for the publication. Please welcome Sandra Larson.
Welcome, Sandra.
And to my left is Nick Larson, Sandra's other half. And Nick is the Chief Revenue Officer at Boardwalk Tech, a veteran tech company here in the Valley.
Great. Welcome to all 3 of you. I know there's 12 guests here, so.
I put on shoes with laces because I was told I'd be running today.
President Sal, Ray Castañeda, and my guest today is Ana Antonio. She is the Executive Director of the East Valley YMCA.
Welcome.
And she has her application with her.
Yep, President Sal, I wanted to mention first that my sponsor was Peter Carter many years ago, and I think about him a lot. At any rate, my guest, or the guest of the speaker, is Lisana Dominguez, and she is the Executive Vice President of the East Side Education Initiative.
Fantastic, welcome. Arthur.
President Sal, I'd like to introduce my guest today, Laura Palazzolo, who's the Emeritus Dean of Lincoln Law School of San Jose. Michelle Pacheco, he's Associate Dean of Academics for Lincoln Law School of San Jose. Ken Damal, who is a climate change entrepreneur. And I have one more guest here. My guest here, Amy Biesinger, who is a co-founder of the Get Real Foundation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Great to have you all here. Welcome. Any more? Any more? Okay. Well, we will move on then. Let's welcome Carl Salas and Jeff Hare to the stage to talk to us about a great Rotary tradition that will be continuing this summer. Lisa, I hope that's what you're doing.
Can you move our slides for us? Where's the click?
Here and move them, yes. So you just
Oh,
tell me when.
Oh, I see. Okay. Go. Okay. Hey, so we are funded by the city mostly by the city to get the fireworks again this year. We did it again last year after the pandemic. We didn't get funding till late last year, so there wasn't enough PR and things just beforehand, but it was the best one ever. And I'm going to set Jeff up. He and I are co-chairing the fireworks committee, and we're looking for warm bodies with energy.
3 action items. Help us out, volunteer. Second one, come and watch. Third, cheer the fireworks. Easy.
We're going to be monthly by Zoom. We're going to be sending out an email, a mass email to all of you. If anybody's got some energy interested in joining us, we're going to meet monthly by Zoom. We have a really great production person this year, and we're going to need some people on the day of. And as Jeff said, it's just a great event. It's a really cool event. So make sure you kind of keep July 4th, which is a Tuesday this year, on your calendar. Get back on the 3-day weekend, and make sure you come to the fireworks. And you'll be seeing an email from us in about a week. And we'll start our meetings probably in late February. Thanks so much.
Not very long meeting, very short.
Thank you, guys. I just want to add my 2 cents. Being part of last year's fireworks program was really fun. This is such a big event for our community. I had people coming up to me afterwards or during the day at the Rose, White, and Blue Parade saying how thrilled they were that we brought this back last year. But the more people we have on the committee, the better, because there is a lot of work that goes into it. I spent, the 4th of July evening on stage, introducing Mayor Sam Liccardo and welcoming the crowd to Discovery Meadow. And the next morning, I was helping Carl and everyone else picking up the pieces of fireworks debris that was left over in the park. So the more people we have helping, the better off we will be. So I hope you can all get involved with that. And of course, show up on the 4th next year. All right, Sandra Jewett, why don't you come up here and talk to us about another fun event that doesn't involve fireworks, but could leave your head ringing. Oh, and she's bringing up a special guest, George, which gives you an idea of what we're talking about.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Well, a little surprise. Ready for this? The blind wine tasting is back. Yay. So we're excited. Culinary Hospitality Committee, along with Bert and Cindy George, is very excited to announce that we're having our 5th annual blind wine tasting. And it's going to be held on March 9th from 5 to 7 at Bert George's wine shop. And as always, you're going to enjoy incredible wines. You know this for a fact. And we are going to enjoy some scrumptious eats done by the Culinary Hospitality Committee. So it's going to be a great event. But if you have never been to the event, let me tell you, the magic doesn't stop the moment you open that wine, okay? You are going to be blown away because we have 15 teams of 4. And as you're tasting the wine, all kinds of poetry is going to come to your mind as to how delicious these grapes blend with your palate. So we are going to have a little poetry, and it's going to be very creative. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you're going to be able to identify the wines. And as the grand finale, you're going to express those incredible tasting choices of words in your own poetry. Am I making sense? So you can handpick your team, or we can pick your team if you like. And it's not just a tasting and sensory competition, but it's a fundraising event. 60% of the proceeds will go to the Brit George Foundation, and Bert is here to give us a little bit of overview on what the foundation does.
I'll be really brief. This is the funnest event we do all year because you have a bunch of Rotarians having fun with wine. It's all blind tasting. You have 4 glasses in front of you and you try to identify what they are. We give you a little cheat sheet so you can kind of see what they're supposed to be. And then at the end, the poetry thing is hysterical. People try to talk about wine in just a fun way. It just relaxes everybody and just has fun with high-end great wine. So the money, it's $100 a person, I think. And the money goes to the Britt George Foundation. And what is the Britt George Foundation? We give, in my daughter's name and spirit, to people that kind of miss the safety net, which is awesome. I read the paper, I find somebody that's not doing a GoFundMe, I find that person directly and give them a check. So it's people that aren't taken care of in the community. And you never know who it's going to be. I don't know from day to day who it's going to be, but every dime, 100%, goes to somebody that's in need.
So to recap, $100, March 9th, 5 to 7 at Joseph George's wine shop. And tickets go online today. We will not be selling them at the door. So please sign up. Very limited 60 spots. Okay, thank you very much.
One more thing, it sells out every year, so just buy your tickets today to get in. It's really fun.
Thank you. And I'm going to have to get online and buy my ticket because I'm looking forward to this. I haven't been to one of these before, so I want to find out what kind of poetry I can come up with. All right, next I'm scanning the crowd because I know she's here, but I don't know where she is. There she is. Heather Lerner is going to come up and talk about our gala. And I'm laughing because I saw the next slide. No, it's great. It's great.
I don't know if I've seen this slide. I've been instructed to stand away from the microphone. Just don't eat the microphone. We are so excited to present this year's gala. It's going to be a spy theme, Sal Pizarro's year. If you it's got to be like this far away from this thing. It's crazy. So we're doing this spy theme with a little bit of Bond, and we're very excited to let you know today that we have our brand new presenting sponsor for this event. I got a little slide. Can someone advance? Clicking is so hard. Clicking is so. Your home sold guaranteed. Sharad Gupta, are you in the room with us today? Sharad, are you here? Oh, brand new Rotarian, step forward. It is our presenting sponsor. I'm so excited to announce that here. Yeah, you guys, it's a lot. It's a lot. We are in our sponsorship phase, and I also want to give a shout out to Tennis Sketter, who bumped up all the way to the $10,000 level. That is double what he did last year. Thank you, Chuck. Wonderful. And Johansson and Yao, you guys bumped up from your level all the way to 10,000 as well. I am seeing increases in sponsorships. I am seeing excitement around the room. We have a whole list of secret operatives who are working on this gala for you, and we'll be presenting more. Tickets, individual tickets are not on sale yet. You may come to me with sponsorship information, secret spy information about sponsorship levels. And the other mystery thing about this event is, where is it gonna be? Yeah, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. So we've been having some issues. Secret location. We've been having a few issues with our beloved Rotary Room here, and we are in discussions with Signia. Likely, we're going to be over at Signia this year, and I want to shout out to Kat and Stephanie for helping me switch gears very quickly on that. Come see us for sponsorships, and if you don't come see me, we will come see you. And don't forget, in Rotary, if we ask you, you say yes. Thanks.
And remember, if you have not marked it down, it's March 25th, and we're trying to raise a record $200,000 for our foundation this year. So all that money goes back out into the community through our community grants. So it's a really important event for us to be part of. Speaking of raising money for our community, in this case for our endowment, it's now time to ring the bell. So those of you who've got some good news, please feel free to stand up and share it. And Emily and Catherine will come at you with a microphone. And someone's going to get one to Pam Foley, I can tell.
Oh, sorry. No worries.
Thank you, President Sal. I'm really excited, and sort of not, to announce that yesterday, January 31st, was the last day that Foley Mortgage was in business. We retired. My husband, retired as of yesterday. I've got this other gig over,
across the street,
a block away or so. So we closed the business. It's very exciting time. It's bittersweet because actually today, after 65 years in business, Foley Mortgage, but today is my 36th anniversary with Foley Mortgage. So I guess there's that. So anyway, I was going to be really generous, but I thought, no, I really can't do that much. So I'm sorry, just one ring today.
So not 36.
Not 36 and not 65, yeah. No. But thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
President Sal, I'm going to ring the bell once. My wife and I have just bagged 3 different cruises in next month, this month and March. I'm the lecturer on these cruises, so it's a nice post-retirement gig for me, and we're looking forward to the Caribbean and South America. Thank you.
Well, that sounds great. We're going to miss you here. So how many rings for that, Mike? One.
Okay, President Sal, I'd like to ring the bell once, and I'd like to dedicate that bell to Bert George, who's the most generous guy I've ever known, and I like his wine events, and I hope you could do mine. So, Bert, I love you. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Hello, President Sal.
Hello, Steve.
So I'm got a good news and a bad news. So the one ring, the good news, Susan, my wife, was sworn in ceremonially yesterday and gave a great State of the County, which is available on YouTube for those of you who haven't seen it yet. I did okay, a little dancing. So one ring for that, that's the good news. The bad news, I missed Steve Borkenhagen's Ukraine event to watch that crappy 49er game. I mean, it was totally unwatchable. So I'm gonna punish myself with another ring just for missing out on Steve's event.
I think for 49ers fans, Steve's event was much better. So thank you, Steve.
Good afternoon, President Sal and everyone here today. I'm similarly celebrating 20 years in Rotary this month. So very excited about that, but not 20 rings, one ring, please.
One ring, okay.
Thank you. President Sal, I'd like to ring the bell twice for the 2 Red Badgers that I've sponsored in this year, Josh Sickle and John Valente. As someone who's on the membership committee, this is the lifeblood of our club, is bringing in new members. So be encouraged to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
President Sal.
Past President Fernando.
Lonely past President Fernando Sasueta. I want to ring the bell once for Linda Gold, who's here from Minnesota. She's still a member here, still paying her dues, so thank you, Linda.
I spotted Linda, and I was going to say something, and I said, ooh, I bet she's going to get introduced later. So, Larry Stone.
Do you guys feel better now?
Yeah, we do.
Today is my 28th anniversary as a Rotarian here. And I came in the same time as Yvonne Montes de Oca. So I don't know if she's here or not, but we're having her on there. So I'd like to ring it one time for our anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Next, Matt. I want to thank you for reminding me because this is also my 20th year anniversary with the club. So one ring.
Congratulations to all of you. Any more? Any more? Okay. Well, thank you all for your contributions. Moving on. Okay, so we've got, oh, wait, Maggie. We're out of order. Come on up. Next, Maggie Padovani is going to tell us about a big event coming up next month that she hopes Bert George participates in.
I do, Bert. Anyway, International Women's Day is a national holiday celebrated around the world. And last year we held our first one, and it had a great turnout of over 200 people attending on a Sunday afternoon from 4 to 7 p.m. And this time we have it again, and it will be held on Sunday, March 19th from 4 to 7 p.m. And we have a wonderful lineup of women that will be very much involved, and there are a lot of them are in my club, and that's Heather Lerner will be our MC, Heather, And Suzanne St. John Crane will be our panel moderator. And we have three wonderful women leaders as panelists. We have the San Jose State University president who will be on the panel, together with Lisa Gautier, who's with the Silicon Valley Leadership Group. And Karen Philbrook, our incoming president, was able to help me secure Hillary Dixon. Is that it? Oh, and Nixon, Hillary Nixon, who's with Minetta Transportation. So tickets are available now online, $60 for a Rotarian. And if you bring a friend, which is what really helped get a lot of other people from the general public to attend last year, it would be $30 to bring a friend. So it's online now. You could register by just going to our district website, and I hope that you'll attend. And for the women here that are guests, you're also welcome to attend. So please do join us, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How was that?
That's perfect. So I want to tell you, I attended this event last year. I moderated the panel, and it's not just an event just for women. Guys, you're more than welcome to come, and I hope many of you do show up. It's also a great opportunity to network with other Rotarians. People who attended the event, one of the primary comments I kept hearing over and over again was they couldn't believe how diverse Rotary was and where people were coming from in age and ethnicity, and just getting to know other Rotarians right here in our own space. It was really a great opportunity for that. So I hope many of you can come to that on March 19th. Okay, couple of announcements. First is, of course, you might have seen Ashley outside taking signups for the axe throwing event that Fun and Friendship is having. That is February 26th. I plan to be there. I'm seeing if I can convince my son to be there. It's a really, it's an activity that you kind of are scared of to begin with, because it does sound a little crazy, but it's actually so easy to do. I did it for the first time last year. They teach you the technique. You don't need strength. In fact, the coach who taught me to do it said, like muscly guys, people like, oh, I don't know, Brian Adams, they'll come in and they'll just put too much strength into it, and they're trying to like push the axe, and it's all about technique and release. And you know, is there a little stress release involved? Oh yeah, you bet. Will I be needing that by the end of February? I think so. Will Heather Lerner be needing that? I think so. So we'll see what goes on there. Last announcement is that some of you may have noticed that some of you have this yellow sticker on your badge now. You can take a look down, see if you have it on there. That has been put on to recognize people who did give to our annual fund during our end of year campaign. So if you see that, you can thank that person for helping to support our community. And more importantly, as Dave Davis will remind me, it's not too late to contribute. If you didn't get a yellow sticker, you can contribute now. It'll count for your 2023 taxes instead of 2022, but you can join the rest of us with our yellow stickers and know that you're doing something great for our community through Rotary. So get your yellow stickers now, and now I would like to call up Larry Stone to introduce our speaker. Larry.
You know, we've all heard about the statistics of the medical and physical impact of COVID-19. Well, the program committee wanted to dive a little deeper into this issue and explore the personal, cultural, economic, and social impact of COVID. I believe the most serious and lasting COVID impact has been on student learning. Today's speaker has a broad and deep experience in educational system and reform and innovation, positioning herself to speak with authority on this topic. Dr. Lisa Andrew has been a leader in education for decades, whether it's her role as a school principal, district superintendent, director of the County Office of Education, college professor, or the current CEO of Silicon Valley Education Foundation. Dr. Andrew has focused on eliminating achievement gap through systems assessment and reform. She earned her bachelor's, master's, and teaching credential at San Jose State University. Go Barton. and in 2012, her doctorate from San Francisco State University. Lisa's dedication to the field of education has been recognized by many prominent education, media, and business organizations. To recharge and rejuvenate, Lisa loves traveling with her husband, Eric, teaching her grandchildren about science, and attending Giants baseball games. Go Giants. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lisa Andrew as she shares her knowledge of personal, cultural, economic, and social impact of COVID on student learning.
Dang, I am old. When you're gonna have all that stuff going on, I sit there and I think, I'm still that girl who grew up in East San Jose running the streets. So thank you for having me. Thank you for being interested in this topic. Thank you for Larry and the program committee thinking that I am the one that gets to bring this information to you. However, you all are experts in education. You've all been to kindergarten, right? Yeah. And hopefully you've all been middle schoolers. I know you remember that wonderful time in your life, right? That special time. And then many of us have either graduated high school or gotten our GED and then decided on either college or career for us. So you all have tons of prior knowledge about education. So I'm just going to engage in a conversation with you as a fellow participant in the education process. So that's how our time's going to go. I'm a teacher at heart, so I'm going to expect interaction. I'm going to expect small group discussion and just setting out the expectations for the day. So what happened with our students here in San Jose during COVID, beyond what we've read in the paper, that's kind of what I want to spend this time talking with you about today. I would be remiss if I didn't put out there the wonderful organization that I get to represent every day. Lucky woman that gets to still support the education system, but not be bogged down in bureaucracy, right? So when they called me as a superintendent out in Hollister and said, how'd you like to come over here and still support students, still support folks who we want to be the workforce of Silicon Valley, but you don't have to deal with all that red tape. I said, I have a 2-hour commute every day. There's this great office and no bureaucracy, sign me up. So that's what I get to do. And at the Silicon Valley Education Foundation, while we deliver services to students and teachers, and we're actually the biggest professional development provider in math and science in Northern California, I get to advocate for education. And that's a really, really exciting thing to be able to do when I don't have to worry about the bureaucracy. I just get to stand up and represent, so that's great. Our vision is that every student here in San Jose, here in Silicon Valley, becomes a productive adult. And that leaves it wide open to what productive means for them, but to come alongside and have them be productive in our society, in their life, and in our world. No grandmother worth her weight would take an opportunity to show this many people pictures of her grandchildren. So that's what I'm going to do. Welcome my tomorrow 2-year-old granddaughter. I have 5. This is my youngest, Eliana Marie. And she's going to help us ground ourselves in some common definition about the purposes of schooling. And also, a good teacher would not be worth her weight if you didn't provide a handout, a little cheat sheet for you to follow along of what the 4 purposes of schooling are. And you can share, if you want your very own, Lisan over here, my colleague, can hand that to you as well. So we've all been through the education system, and Larry did a great job of introducing this segment. And there's really 4 purposes to schooling. Believe it or not, it's not recess, getting pizza on Friday, making friends over social media, although those are important aspects of the education system. There's really 4 purposes to education. And that is the personal, and that's where we enable young people to engage within the world within them, so getting to know who they are, and then the world outside of them. And here's Eliana, Christmas morning. I have no idea, you can only imagine she's talking to her new dinosaur, her new babies, and the healer family known as Bluey.
on the chair. And whatever's going on inside of her, how she's organizing them, and this is like her world, but she knew she had to have participants as well. Okay, so she's got them lined up in the chair. Whereas also an economic purpose to schooling, and this is probably the one that we would say we're probably most familiar with, and that's we want them to become economically responsible and independent. So become a productive workforce, vote, participate in the democracy, and that's going to take some academic skills and such, correct? And then, of course, schooling is about social interaction. We create our identity by interacting with other people. We know you can't live in isolation, and this is really going to become profound when we talk about COVID. We know that you're going to be a mirror to me. I'm going to check out your behavior, see what fits. How do I talk to you? How do I interact with you? How do I get from you what I want? Besides my loving mother and father or my loving family that I'm living with, how does the rest of the world, do I socially interact with them? And then we also know there's a cultural aspect to it, especially here in San Jose. We enjoy such diversity, but we have to learn about that diversity. We have our lived experience in our homes, we have that lived experience in our communities, but we know if we really want to be part of the world, we have to go beyond that. And so schooling offers an opportunity to learn about different cultures, different people from different cultures, sit down, have lunch. What is that food that you have? Why are you not in school today? What are holidays? That whole piece, right? So for the purposes of today, those are the 4 purposes of schooling. You with me? You with Eliana? All right. And then you have the sheets there because you're going to need those to refer to for the definitions as we move on. So let's look at the personal and economic implications of what happened during COVID. These pictures are all pictures from my organization. We had families give us pictures of their children during COVID. We couldn't go into the home, but we definitely wanted to know what the environment was like. How are we going to be able to support if we don't know what's going on there? So take a look at those 2. Beautiful, showing up. They're dressed. We did have some that were not. I was in an 8th grade class where a chicken popped out during one class because that's their pet. It's real stuff, right? So here's 2 of our students. This was when we were at home learning. And then this is what it looked like when they got back to school, okay? So thinking about those images at your table, based on our working definition of personal and economic purposes of schooling, what do you think would be the implications of having a learning environment like this at home or this at school? Go ahead and share at your table.
So these beautiful children that you got to see here, actual students here in San Jose. Every picture that I show you today are from San Jose. Ready to go. You know, they're showing up, their hair's combed. I mean, I actually showed you, ones that how we want to project there. So knowing that that was the learning environment for 2020, 2021, only in 2022 did we begin to take the barriers separating kids down for the most part. And this is a generalization, okay? There were places where it wasn't like 80%, and take the masks off, which you all witnessed that on the news, or maybe personally were part of that. The personal implications, and remember, schooling is about identifying who I am inside and then how I interact in the world. That, I heard you, that kind of that opportunity was lost. And while I love my granddaughter, Eliana, and she lives with 4 educators in the family, all she knew was a stuffed dinosaur, the Healer family, and baby dolls. When we took her to her first music class and there were other kids that were behaving and other adults that were smiling at her that were not her family, it was shocking. And we're very talkative. I mean, like I said, we have 4 educators. She had, you can only imagine what my house looks like, right? Shocking. She had her personal space. How do I even do this? You're a 13-year-old trying to find your identity. We all remember that, right? Or maybe you don't want to remember that. And we know that economically, we hear about we did not have a chance for our students to learn in robust, rigorous ways, to have their learning scaffolded, to have their needs met. So the biggest implications here in San Jose, and Larry was great. He said, don't give them a bunch of statistics, just give them, so great, I can do that. I can give you maybe a broad brush. Is that we know in 2022, in the 2021-2022 school year, and even with the beginning of the 2022-23 school year, the reports of self-harm, depression, and antisocial behavior have skyrocketed in our schools. Because there's just not that sense of personal, what is my world and how do I interact? It's like it was stilted and stalled. We also know that our students are anywhere from 0.5 to 2 years behind. And it's just not on state testing, local assessments in our schools, going into the library, the kind of books that are being pulled. I mean, this is real stuff here in San Jose. Right? And we also know that for our students of color, they're going to be the ones that have the biggest difference. The biggest, because they, whatever their homes were able to provide for them and people were working, and it's not a deficit, it's just an is. So those are some of the personal and economic implications of COVID. So now let's go on to the cultural and social. Again, images from our city. This is what's on TV. This is what they're seeing. This is what's being streamed. It's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's on Twitter. My friends are talking about it. My family's talking about it. No one was shielded. We had to have conversations in our home when our grandchildren were here. What is going to be on TV? We had to talk about it still as a family. I want to shield our children from everything, but there has got to be some filters happening. Overwhelming. So what are the implications around our working definition of cultural and social if these are the images that our students were seeing during COVID? Go ahead and discuss at your tables. So we know that when students are at home, when they're at home, when they're, I don't want to use the word isolated because they are with family members, but when they are isolated from their peers, when they are isolated from the bigger picture, the bigger world, all that wonderful school campus, they do not have an opportunity to learn about their own culture in a different ways, the beliefs and culture of other people. You know, I showed Eliana, her social interaction is with our dog Rebel, you know, because she's just, I'm done with these adults, like, let me be here with this dog. I mean, these are real things that now they enter back into school, and we know that there has been a significant increase in acts of vandalism that include hate speech and displays. And in September of 2021, we had the highest level of fighting on San Jose school campuses in their history. In San Jose, 3 school districts had lynchings with dolls of color all over this. It's not just writing of one word on the bathroom wall. I'm talking about 3 school districts that had significant hate, which led to, in one case, significant town halls, and you had people on both sides, right? This is our reality. This is the effect. And I think putting yourself in the mindset of a 5-year-old or a 13-year-old or an 18-year-old, it's hard enough being a 58-year-old and trying to dissect all of that. I always leave with solution. So Lisa, what do you think? Because there's an is, and now we need to do something. And my personal opinion about what needs to happen to mitigate all this is, we all know increased mental health, all this, but it needs to be led by our city and our county. Our schools need to go back to teaching and learning. Thank you. Okay. They need to go back to teaching and learning. They cannot be the containers for all social services. They can't. It's too much pressure on the school system, and the school system was not designed to do that. For economic, we must demand more learning time for students. The research is clear on this. We must have summer, we must have after school, we must have intersession. We as parents must put our children in extended learning opportunities. And we must demand that the school district provide that. The only way you're going to be able to socially and culturally become aware is by being with other people. And the best place to do that is at the school site, because of the diversity and the breadth that students will have the opportunity to interact with. So simple, perhaps. I always say it's not that we don't know what to do, we just have to have the will to do it. So that is what I have to share about the, thank you. Hopefully that gave you some perspective and questions. I am ready, or I'm ready to sit down. Yeah.
Hi, Janica Clem. It's nice to see you. I lived this. My twins didn't get to finish kindergarten and did first grade at home. And I first want to state, children are very resilient. So I want to give them a lot of credit. But it was friggin' hard. And what I was just sharing at my table that my daughter did quite well. My son and I were in tears daily. So there was that. But what I wanted to say is that I think the thing that we're seeing in the schools now is the amount of screen time that the kids spent both during school and as a literal childcare for parents that were working at home has really, really stifled the kids' ability to even comprehend what's happening in the world. So I don't know what you're doing to advocate for less screen time. I know that there's a push to teach more off of the screens, but also what we can do as a community, as a city, as a county, as a society to really push parents and and others to get kids out in the world and off the screens. But I'm not sure sort of what your work involves with that. But it's really sad. Kids
Yes.
can't be away from that.
Yeah, agreed. And I need less screen time, to be honest. So so that was, thank you for catching on to that. If you want your kids off the screen, you have to be off the screen. When they see you on your phone and you on your iPad, that's where they want to be. I can tell you that the programs that my organization promote, we don't use screen time. It's hands-on, it's project-based. Schools that are finding the most success with students furthest from access and opportunity are also utilizing those types of learning environments. Makerspaces, Fab Labs, you can't be on a screen to do that. So I agree. We are the children's first teachers as parents and grandparents and aunties and uncles. I encourage you to get in there and do some science and things with them outside or something like that. Thank you. It was hard. My grandkids had 3 educators, 2 grandkids, 3 educators there for the first month of school every day. And it was hard. So I don't know how So thank you for your effort there. Others?
Kathleen?
Hi, Lisa. Kathleen Thomas. Thank God my children were grown during COVID. I thought that on a daily basis, right? I retired as a pediatric occupational therapist during COVID because the transition to Zoom was just too much for me. But my daughter is a school psychologist in Maryland. And so all these kids suffering anxiety, emotional problems are being referred to her. And traditionally, school psychologists deal with kids that are diagnosable learning disabilities. I mean, you can speak more to that. But what do they do? I mean, as you said, teachers need to get back to teaching. But who's going to provide this kind of support to these kids? That's the question.
Yeah. And here's where I might lose a few friends in here. You gotta send the kids to the county and city services. I think what I tell my principals and superintendents is, have you gone to the county and city services and said, you need to provide this? As school people, we continually take it and say, oh, we need to solve it here. We'll solve it here, because that's what we're told. Solve it there, they're there already. We have to have the will to stand up and ask for the resources and say, no, you need to do this. You need to do this. And we have to have our school boards willing to do that. So I think, as I said with the very first implications and bullet, the resources are here. We have to have the folks who have those resources provided. And you're right on. A school psychologist is trained to do one thing. A psychologist is trained to do another. And the school psychologist needs to be able to say, this is out of my purview. And so now here's the psychologist that needs to handle this. And they need to be supported by their school district to do that, by their superintendent, by their school board, and just to make sure that the resources are happening. Yeah, but I'm with you. I get it.
Larry, before we get to your question, I've got one from the Zoom audience.
Zoom audience?
Yes, you've got about 30 people watching on Zoom.
Oh my gosh.
And more will watch on YouTube later.
Oh my, well, I definitely wasn't told that.
So you mentioned the need for more instruction time, summer intercession. I know the answer is probably funding, but it seems the schools are hardly open anymore between winter, spring, ski, fall, teacher training breaks, every holiday, a 3 to 4 day break. And I think the question is, how is that surmountable?
Yeah. So here's the way. Instead of first, yes, and wow, that gives us more opportunity to have other resources come in to be with students. So no matter what's negotiated in a teacher contract, because we don't need to go there, there's still 365 days in the year. The teachers are going to be there with the students this many days. There's these other days where schools are given funding to bring in other programming. And the programs that we offer at my organization is we pay their teachers to come back during that time and teach. And we have like 500 teachers that are teaching their students or students in their district during those extended hours. So we've got to be able to put the programs there. They have the funding now from the state. I know we're always worried, yeah, but next year we don't have it. Let's just kind of focus right here and get in our lane and get it done. And that's what we're working toward right now.
Larry.
The negative impacts of COVID on society in general, adults and so forth, most of those things can be made up, most of them. But kids, it's different. You can't tell parents that we're sorry you missed the third grade, but we're going to make it up. So how successful are we? What you're talking about needs to be done. How successful is that going?
So let's be honest, things were not rainbows and butterflies before COVID. The students of San Jose were already behind. It's not like when COVID hit, everybody was on grade level. So this is not a new issue. Getting students caught up, having extended time, this is not new. So I think when we step back and say, we've done this, we're trained to do this, teachers are trained to do this, it's going to take a bit longer. It can't just be the first grade teacher catching them up or the second grade teacher catching them up. It's going to take the first, second, third grade teacher catching them up. But this is not a new phenomena to have 80% of students who are not on grade level. Yes, it's not. In some, there's like 85% of students who are on grade level in mathematics in districts that you live in right now. So we know how to do it, how to get it done. It's going to take a bit longer. We were in a meeting, Lisana and I were in a meeting this morning with our superintendents from East San Jose, and they're talking about how do we work together as a collective to move students along, that it's probably going to take a 2 to 3 year period for some of our students. Recognizing we were here before COVID anyway. So now we have extra money to do it.
Fernanda.
We always hear that the children are our future. We always say that teachers are the one profession that every one of us can name we have a favorite of. But we as a society seem to be hypocritical because we do not fund teachers to the level that they should be paid if we really believed that that's the case, that our future depends on the education of our children and that we should be paying more to our teachers than we are. And the other thing in society is we have parents who will not accept that their children are a problem in school. A good friend of mine's daughter graduated from Stanford, started teaching at the local school, not here in San Jose, but a local school. After the first year, she spent more time trying to discipline the children than she could spend time in teaching. And so the issues that we are faced with go beyond the fact that COVID exists. We need to, as a society, face up to the fact that we need to fund our teaching systems and to a far greater extent than we have. But I don't know if you know how we're going to do that.
Okay, I know. So, all right, you made my day. I have goosebumps listening to you. So, this is very exciting that you brought this up because you are 100% right. One of the pieces, a big piece of the work right now at my organization is collaborating with Ron's organization, the Hispanic Foundation, and with Ed Alvarez's foundation of the Latino Education Advancement Foundation. And we've come together to lift up the need for bare minimum equal funding in the state of California, because right now there is as much as a $10,000 difference per pupil in Santa Clara County that's given to school districts. So just sit with that. So if you're a school district in East San Jose, you have up to $10,000 less per pupil than in Los Altos or some of our other wealthier districts. We don't need to hate on anybody, okay? There is plenty of money in the state of California for every mother to get for their child the same amount. It shouldn't matter what zip code you're in. It shouldn't matter. Let's start there, because school districts in Alum Rock cannot pay a teacher the same amount of salary than as a school district in another part of the county. That's not okay. It's not. I'm a teacher. I'm going to go where I can make the most money so I can live in this county.
So we are working right now. We have a huge advocacy effort, a huge push with our legislators to get even that funding equal. Then, Fernando, to answer the second part, we often hear about equitable funding. Well, now that school district, hey, they get money because they have English learners. They get money for foster youth. They get money. They should, because these students have those needs. That's equitable funding. And so the day when we get equal funding for every student in Santa Clara County, and then school districts can get that equitable funding to handle some of the problems that are coming through the door that are not the student's fault. They are a representation of what's going on around them. Then we will be able to retain teachers, train teachers, and get the resources where they need. Okay? And again, it's not a matter that we don't know what to do. $10,000 difference, and you have 11,000 kids. Mathematicians, that's a lot of money. And that's just base funding. It's criminal. It's criminal. So that's what we're currently working on.
Okay, before we get to Sean, we've got one more question from Zoom, from Alexandra. We know that hands-on participatory arts activities help youth with all these challenges. What role have you seen local arts groups play in providing programming for local youth?
So little out of my wheelhouse because to the specifics that happen day to day because we're focused on STEM. However, as a former superintendent and principal and such, arts education is key and critical, just as science education, just as math education. It's all a part of the learning experience. It's part of the social, the cultural, and the economic. There are wonderful art nonprofits here in our county and in other counties that when the school districts can afford them, because remember, I'm already at a $10,000 per student deficit, right? They buy them. So, but what's going to happen when I'm just trying to keep teachers over here, all my money is going to go towards that salary, and then the students are going to miss out. So, yeah, and I'm never going to tell a parent they can't give money to their local school to do whatever, because that was me, and that's going to be me as grandma. However, my child's success and access and opportunity should not be dependent upon a parent doing that. It just shouldn't. It should be, this is my right here in California. I'm worth as much as any other child anywhere. And that's what we all need to stand up and advocate for. Yeah.
And Sean?
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's very topical and timely, I think. My question is this. Do you think that the existence of, I've heard that there are 14 different school districts within the city of San Jose. Do you think that the multitude of school districts has an impact on addressing the educational issues that our kids are facing these days?
I would put it back to you. Do you think Los Angeles is more successful?
I'm not familiar with Los Angeles. What's the situation in Los Angeles?
No. So we have examples of massive school districts. LA and San Francisco unified. San Francisco Unified is not only its own school district, it's also its own county office. So there are models here in the state with the same kind of diversity of student and diversity of economic as we have here in San Jose. And they are not doing any better and sometimes worse than we are here with the 14 school districts. So I don't think that unification into one big district is the answer.
Okay, and I think that's all the time we've got for questions. I think Lisa will be here to answer some. Just so you know that on your behalf, we've made a donation to History San Jose, which helps preserve our city's heritage. And we thank you for sticking around and answering questions, Lisa. Okay, and if you need to contact Lisa, here's her contact information. Next week, we have District Attorney Jeff Rosen on to detain or not to detain. So please have a good weekend. And one last shout out I want to give to our AV crew in the back. You saw they're trying some new things. Brian Vandiver, John During, Mike Danberger, and Matt Robin. They also did great work volunteering for the Ukraine benefit on Sunday. That event, you really needed their help, and they came through for us. Great examples of our club helping the community. Thank you, guys, and the meeting is over. Adjourned.